Tonight on CFTK-TV News, a Special Olympics torch run is completed in Terrace, a close cougar encounter prompts a trail closure in BC, and a recap of this weekend's Seafest festivities in Prince Rupert.
Northwest BC's only television news team. We are CFTK-TV News.
Hello, and thanks for joining us on this Monday, June 16th, 2025. I'm Jaylene Matthews. We begin tonight with our news that's local to the Northwest. Communities gathered for the return of Seafest this past weekend, the city of Prince Rupert's signature summer festival. CFTK-TV's Helen Asante reports.
It was a weekend of sunshine, seafood, and celebration in Prince Rupert, making new friends and enjoying the atmosphere of community. Local leader says this is one of the key events that truly brings people together.
You know, community is not made up of houses and buildings and jobs. It's made up of the connection tissue that runs through the community. This is one of the big events that connects people. If you wander through the suburbs, the sort of outlying areas of Prince Rupert right now, through the neighborhoods, you won't find a soul. There might be a dark barking dog or something out in the neighborhood, but everybody, every single person in Prince Rupert will be down here to watch the parade and participate in the events.
Bringing together culture and coastal pride, Christopher shares what it means to be a volunteer, aside being strong and tall.
I think the big reason is just I really love these kind of festivals. I really love when people can come together and just have fun and put on great events. And it just seems very appropriate for me to give back to my community in this way. And it's just, you know, I'm tall and fairly strong. I can lift things.
For many residents, this is more than just an event, it's tradition. From dog walks to dancing and support from community leaders, Seafest 2025 delivered one big summer spirit full of culture and togetherness.
From Seafest here in Prince Rupert, this is Helen Asante with CFTK-TV News.
The Terrace RCMP recently held their first ever law enforcement torch run, an event that was held as a Special Olympics fundraiser. The RCMP said the event was a great success as they raised $2,150. Alongside the Special Olympics athletes, Terrace community members, and local RCMP officers who attended, former Deputy Fire Chief Dave Jeffson came as a special guest and brought a torch that he used during the 2010 Vancouver Winter Olympics. The event's participants traveled about 5 kilometers on the Millennium Trail before making their way back to the local RCMP detachment for a barbecue. And speaking of food, at the start of next month, the Terrace Fire Department is set to once again hold an annual charity event based around a delicious breakfast. The Canada Day Firefighters Pancake Breakfast will run from 8 a.m. to 11 a.m. at the Terrace Fire Department on July 1st. Breakfast is $10 and kids under 5 eat free. Proceeds from the event will go towards the BC Professional Firefighters Burn Fund, which is dedicated to giving survivor support, preventing burns, and helping BC-based recovery programs. The fundraising event was originally created when a family in Terrace needed that kind of assistance, and it was decided that the event would be held annually after its initial success. Coming up next, cougar sightings prompt a trail closure. The BC Wildfire Service says crews are working along the perimeter of a fire in Squamish that is now under control, but triggered a local state of emergency in the community last week. The service says cooler temperatures this weekend allowed crews to temper fire behavior, and conditions are forecasted to remain cool and damp this week, with rain expected by Wednesday. It says firefighters are working to strengthen their holding lines and extinguish remaining hotspots. A series of close encounters with cougars have led to a BC trail being closed, and experts warning the public to be aware. Here's CTV's Shannon Patterson.
The Rubble Creek Trail that leads to Garibaldi Lake is closed after 2 cougars got uncomfortably close to multiple hikers earlier this week. When Margot Cohen and her hiking partner rounded a corner on the trail on Sunday,
the cougar was like right in front of me, and I'm not even exaggerating when I'm saying this, but it was like 2-3 feet away from me. So I instantly screamed.
The pair backed away and continued yelling at the cougar, but it didn't budge for 45 minutes.
I would not take the risk to pass him, right? Especially that you don't want to turn your back on the cougar.
They can be curious, especially younger ones that don't have a lot of experience around humans. The older ones that we work with are very afraid of us, but the younger ones are kind of learning a new environment or getting to know what people are, and so they can exhibit some curiosity.
Eventually, a large hiking group coming the other way scared the cougar off, but the next day, hikers reported being stalked by 2 cougars on the same trail.
This is not typical cougar behavior. It's fairly uncommon.
Conservation evacuated campgrounds in the area and closed the trail for a week.
That's a great call. Give the cougar some time to move along without any further confrontation possible with people on the trails.
If hikers do encounter cougars in the woods, the advice is make noise and make yourself look big.
So standing your ground if you see a cougar, not turning your back to it, remaining calm, and putting your arms above your head, putting a backpack or something above you to make yourself look big.
It's weird that he's not leaving or even like scared of us, right? It was terrifying. My heart was racing.
While close encounters are scary, cougars almost never attack people.
If that ever does happen, it's usually an animal that is sick or injured or something that's not a healthy cougar doing normal cougar things.
Normal cougar behavior is to stay out of sight.
I'm really happy I got to see one. They always see you, but you never see them most of the time, right? So the fact that I got to see one this close and nothing happened to me, it's great.
Shannon Patterson, CTV News.
Police in West Vancouver say they are working to recover the body of a man who is presumed to have drowned in Cabin Lake. The man was swimming with his fiancée in the lake in Cypress Provincial Park yesterday when he began struggling and disappeared under the water. First responders tried to find the man's body, but the search was suspended due to darkness and resumed today. A BC family is grappling with the province possibly cutting their funding for an incredibly expensive drug that's preserving the life of their child. Here's CTV's Brendan Strain.
Jory Fales is the mother of Charlie Pollock, a 9-year-old girl that suffers from Batten disease, a neurodegenerative disorder that leads to the progressive loss of brain function. Diagnosed at the tender age of 3, Charlie began having relentless seizures. She was put on a drug called Brineura, which slowed the progression of the disease and stopped the seizures completely.
The last 5 months have been agonizing. It's on our minds every night, every morning, all day long.
In February, the province informed Charlie's medical team that she would no longer be covered for the expensive drug that Fales says costs $844,000 per year. That's when Charlie's team appealed that decision, and the health minister stepped in, extending the treatments while the appeal process was ongoing.
I did get a call last week from the government of BC letting me know that we will hear the final decision before the 19th of June.
Fales fears the worst if the appeal process doesn't go in Charlie's favor.
Brineura is the only defense against this horrible disease, so if you take it away, she will decline, lose more skills, and will leave us.
The province's expensive drug and rare disease committee has been tasked with making the decision if Charlie's treatments will be funded going forward. During that appeal process, the committee asked the Canada Drug Agency to do an evidence-based review of Brineura. The findings of that report gives Charlie's mother hope.
Insufficient data to establish discontinue criteria. Without appropriate data to help inform stopping drug, discontinuation should truly be a clinical decision made with the healthcare team and the families impacted by this disease.
Charlie's medical team is in full support of the 9-year-old's continued Brineura treatment. On June 19th, the same day the family has been told they will have heard from the province with its decision, is also the next scheduled infusion treatment.
If she continues to get to stay on it,
then she would have another one in 2 weeks.
They order the drugs. If not, she's off.
If not, then we start preparing ourselves for the days ahead.
Brendan Strain, CTV News, Langford.
Mounties say crews have not been successful in finding a person who went missing after a vehicle carrying 4 people crashed into the Squamish River this weekend. The vehicle and one person who police believe was trapped in the car are still missing, even after conducting aerial and ground searches along the water and shoreline. They say the river is very deep and fast flowing due to spring runoff, making conditions hazardous and rescue efforts difficult. Turning to the weather, the sun rose at 4:55 a.m. this morning in the northwest and sets at 10:15 p.m. tonight. Tonight on the north coast, expect conditions to be cloudy with rain beginning overnight and temperatures steady near 11 degrees. Over the next few days on the north coast, expect rain tomorrow, then clouds and showers for the rest of the week. Daily highs between 13 and 15 degrees, overnight lows in the 9 to 10 degree range. Tonight in the Terrace-Kitimat area, expect it to be cloudy with a 40% chance of showers early in the evening. Winds from the south at 30 kilometers an hour, gusting to 50, a low of 10 degrees. Over the next few days in the Terrace-Kitimat area, expect showers throughout the week, then the sun will likely come back for the weekend. Daily highs between 15 and 19 degrees, overnight lows between 8 and 11 degrees. Tonight in the Bulkley Valley and Lakes District, it's looking a little cloudy with a low of 3 degrees. Over the next few days in the Bulkley Valley and Lakes District, expect a mix of sun, clouds, and showers. Daily highs between 18 and 24 degrees, overnight lows between 7 and 12 degrees. Checking your northwest highways now. On Highway 16, there's construction in Prince Rupert with a detour in effect. Also bridge maintenance, road sweeping, mowing, and utility work going on. On Highway 37, watch for bridge construction, frost heaves, as well as a material spill. On Highway 37A, there's a section to watch for falling rocks, as well as ongoing road maintenance. On Highway 118, there's roadside brushing as well as shoulder maintenance. And this is what the roads were looking like this afternoon around the region from the view of the province's highway cams. Still to come, world leaders arrive in Alberta for the G7 summit. World leaders, including U.S. President Donald Trump, have arrived in Canada for the G7 summit in Alberta, which kicked off today. As CTV's Rachel Aiello reports, Mark Carney spent his Sunday readying himself to host his first international summit as Prime Minister.
Prime Minister Mark Carney touched down in Calgary, but before making his way to the Kananaskis Mountain Lodge where the G7 summit is happening, he met with 2 of the world leaders he invited to take part in the talks. Australia's Prime Minister,
the strength of the ties between our countries are great,
and South Africa's President. These meetings followed a first friendly face-to-face with UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer on Parliament Hill.
I've learned a lot from the Prime Minister over the years. I've been a great admirer of his and the values that he's bringing to bear to his government and to internationally, particularly as we go to Kananaskis for the G7, are those that we will be promoting.
The 2 agreed to advance a series of economic growth and security initiatives. With artificial intelligence a key focus for the summit, Starmer and Carney also met with the British-Canadian CEO of an AI company.
This really symbolises the joint work we can do together.
The G7 kicks off in earnest, the Rocky Mountains becoming the backdrop for the annual gathering of many of the world's most powerful leaders, and the high-stakes bilateral meetings attendees are arranging.
You've got them in your backyard, you get to meet them, you get to set the agenda.
The first of these sideline sit-downs on the Prime Minister's agenda Monday is with U.S. President Donald Trump. Experts say Canada's 7th time hosting comes at a crucial moment, given all that's going on globally.
For us to be at that table with these other really influential countries is incredibly important for Canada.
Leaders will be meeting behind closed lodge doors for intensive discussions on a range of international issues before taking in some Canadian culture. Award-winning singer Charlotte Cardin will be performing.
Prime Minister Mark Carney is expected to discuss the wars in the Middle East and Ukraine, safety issues, and artificial intelligence at this year's summit. But for U.S. President Donald Trump, he says his primary focus is on trade. Trump says a deal to end the trade war with Canada is achievable if both parties agree to it. And Calgarians weren't passing up the chance to have the world and world leaders see and hear about the causes they care about, as CTV's Kathy Lee reports.
The sound of dissent amplified at Calgary City Hall. G7 protesters flooded a designated demonstration zone, multiple groups uniting behind diverse issues.
Stop killing Amhara children!
We express our concern on the current political situation in Ethiopia. Amharas are dying day in, day out by the existing regime. It's really very sad.
Kashmir is a flashpoint right now between the three nuclear powers, India, Pakistan, and China. And there is a war going on there.
Hundreds of people are here. They're emotionally charged and passionate, but protesters remain peaceful.
From global unrest to human rights concerns to climate issues, their messages directed at state leaders ahead of the G7 summit, hosted in Kananaskis Village, an hour's drive away.
I think this is one of the big forum, very big forum, and this is a big opportunity for us.
I have a specific message for Donald Trump. Take your hands off our country. Don't bring your chaos up here.
Their charged determination spilling into the streets, transforming into a dynamic, unauthorized procession.
I would love to take the G7 leaders to stop being complicit in all forms of oppression of the world. Stop the genocide in Palestine, to stop the oppression of all indigenous peoples in the world, and to stop the exploitation of the global south, which includes all the developing countries.
While they marched with conviction, police managed the chaos of traffic disruptions. At one point, the protesters' presence impacting the Calgary Fire Department. At another, tense moments with an opposing group. But they continued on in earnest, hoping that all this noise will make a difference. Kathy Lee, CTV News, Calgary.
Turning to the markets now, Canada's main stock index closed up on Monday, helped by strength in base metal and technology sectors, while U.S. stock markets also climbed. The Canadian dollar rose 1/10 cent. The price of gold fell by $35.50. Oil dropped $1.04. Natural gas rose 17 cents. Aluminum fell by $25. In Toronto, the TSX was up by 64 points. The Venture Index gained 4 points. In New York, the Nasdaq was up 294 points, and the Dow Jones gained 317 points. Still ahead, fatal flooding in West Virginia. Quebec police are looking for a 3-year-old girl last seen in Montreal's La Salle borough yesterday morning. Claire Bell is 3 feet tall, has brown hair and brown eyes, and was last seen wearing a white long-sleeve shirt with pink on the collar and gray pants. Now to the States, where deadly flash flooding in West Virginia has killed at least 5 people. ABC's Alex Perez has the latest.
This morning, parts of West Virginia are under a state of emergency as a deadly flash flood kills at least 5 people, including a 3-year-old. State officials say 3 people are reportedly missing. In Fairmont, a rear wall partially collapsing during the floods. Water gushing from the roof. Cheyenne Sullivan escaping with her 1-year-old daughter.
We almost got stuck in there. I had to move everything out from in front of the door and swim out of the apartment down the hallway pretty much. It was 4.5 foot of water.
I literally woke up to a catastrophe. I have a baby on the way. I have a toddler. I have no clue what to do now.
Water running through the window.
bottom floor was washed out first.
Outside, cars totaled, personal belongings now scattered. Just a few blocks away, residents treading through murky, knee-deep water, pushing vehicles out of parking lots. At Wheeling University, floodwater quickly rising, pushing massive debris down the stream.
Israel and Iran volleyed strikes at each other for a third straight day and into the night, with the death toll in both countries continuing to mount. Camille Karamali reports.
Missiles light up the night sky over Israel Sunday evening, this one landing directly in the coastal city of Haifa. Earlier, crews were still searching for bodies from yesterday's attack, more than a dozen now dead. Israel's prime minister has vowed Iran will pay a heavy price, bombarding its capital, Tehran, in broad daylight Sunday afternoon. Israel said it's targeting military and nuclear complexes in Iran, but damage could be seen in heavily populated residential areas. A U.S.-based human rights group says the number of Iranians dead has surpassed 400 over 3 days, with Iran's health ministry claiming most of those are civilians, including women and children.
Speaking with my family, they're all extremely nervous as well.
Kaveh Sharuz from Toronto has family in Tehran, and they're not sure where they can hide from Israeli strikes, taking this video of people fleeing for safety.
The roads are completely packed. Fuel is hard to come by for their vehicles. They are concerned that if they go to another town, that other town might be hit.
Iran's president promising a powerful response, and that these strikes against his country are carried out with America's permission. U.S. President Donald Trump pledging that Iran and Israel will make a deal, and that many calls and meetings are now taking place.
It's time for a deal, and we'll see what happens, but sometimes they have to fight it out.
Now sources tell U.S. media Israel had a plan to assassinate Iran's supreme leader this weekend, but Trump said no. Iranians caught in the crossfire conflicted over who to support. While thousands held rallies against Israel, other Iranians abroad are hoping for the downfall of what they call Iran's authoritarian regime.
Some actually had welcomed the strike, and some indeed had used the opportunity to highlight their enmity with the regime.
Global Affairs Canada said it is continuing to closely monitor the situation and condemns Iran's attacks on Israel, urging restraint on both sides.
That's our news for now. Thanks for watching. And we'll leave you tonight with the montage from this past weekend's Seafest festivities in Prince Rupert. Enjoy.
Come on, swing, man!
Is he looking fun?